Hey, how's it going today, guys? We're gonna take a look at this PewDiePie video, some video on fitness. Sounds like he has some decent ideas I might agree with, so I'm gonna try and snag some clout off of him and see what we can say about it. So let's get started.
Instagram influencers, Marvel superheroes have been drinking the Kool-Aid. Master Chief, Johnny Bravo, Goku, they're all on steroids. I feel like if you mention this, a lot of people will go, well, obviously, duh. Like, everyone in the fitness bubble knows it. But if you think about, in general, how many people know about steroid usage and how common it is, I don't know. Do people know? I don't know. I didn't used to know, and I worked out. You tell someone that doesn't lift that The Rock is on most likely on steroids. I mean, the guy's like what? He's approaching 50 years to pack that kind of muscle. Even with steroids, you know, it's damn impressive.
Yeah, I mean, I think most people have no clue, but I don't think they have no clue to the point where they think The Rock here is skipping his gear, skipping his kneels. I think people can understand that a guy like The Rock is, but yeah, he's right that it is really it's out of the public consciousness really on what any sort of performance enhancing drug use actually looks like. This is an obvious example here, but in general, people can look at you and you can just be an athlete, just sport athlete, and they might think that's performance enhancing drugs use, and then they can look at someone that's just jacked out of their mind and think that guy's just natural. Like it's all over the place, so no one really has a clear conception whether, and this is true whether or not you're into fitness, right? People that are in fitness also just don't have a clue who, like some of them have their favorite influencers that they have no clue about. So it's kind of a messy topic.
See what he's able to accomplish, and the response is no. He puts in the work, he puts in the hours. Okay, yeah, no, obviously that's what I'm saying, but I'm also saying he dips his fingers in the vitamin gummy bear jar. Maybe he takes 2, maybe he even takes 3 gummy bears. Who knows? We don't know because he doesn't talk about it. That's the whole point. There's no transparency, and that's why I think it's important, and not to make myself high and mighty, but I do think it's important for someone like me who has an audience that isn't necessarily into fitness to bring attention to this kind of thing. Because what I find is that in the industry, it seems like most people in some way are engaging with steroids. Everyone sees it, it's obvious to all these people, but a lot of people don't know about it. You even get people saying like, Arnold, he never did steroids, what are you talking about? Like, bro, he openly talks about it. You just can't get that physique. If it looks unnatural, it is unnatural.
See, like I don't think anyone says Arnold wasn't on some sort of PED. So that's kind of out of the question on that. But he is right. Like, you want some transparency on these things. I think people should have a better understanding so they don't build up these unrealistic expectations for what can be accomplished. But I'm not sure just transparency in itself is enough, because you're not going to educate the masses on what different aesthetic body types are supposed to look like, because genetics plays a role, and it's so all over the place. There's no way you can get a coherent understanding. So it's good that he's given that transparency, but I think we need more than just transparency to deal with the kind of problems that come from drug abuse here.
Natural. That's a good. And if you think that this kind of steroid use is a thing of the past, I got bad news for you. It's probably more prevalent than ever. You go on Instagram and you got 18-year-olds looking like fucking orcs. Again, if it ain't looking natural, it ain't natural. And I don't even necessarily have a problem with it. It is the lack of transparency that I have an issue with, especially when these Instagram influencers are selling their epic workout routines. Bro, just use my code and you can also look like me. Like, shut the fuck up. But what I do find as well, luckily, is that
yeah, see, this is where he's a little bit too soft. Like, the fact that he doesn't have a problem with it, except for the transparency. See, I think the issue is the abuse itself and what it's being used for. And he pointed out, okay, yeah, it's been used for commodifications. It's been being used for marketing. It's entirely like what with this kind of performance enhancing drug usage. It's not for enhancing performance whatsoever. It's for selling products. That's essentially what that is being used for, especially within the bodybuilding aspect of fitness. And the bodybuilding, the aesthetics, the style that you can sell, that's what the entire scope of that end of the fitness industry, and that shares the largest market cap because that's what's profitable. The images, that you can employ marketing tactics with, the ones that are the most effective are going to be the ones that promote that aesthetic ideal. I wouldn't even say it's an ideal, but it is the ideal that you're given because this drug use, this drug abuse is so ubiquitous within that scene, and because the nature of social media marketing, that's what you get. So it's not enough just to be transparent about it. Like it's a wider issue. Like the usage itself and the usage for not performance enhancing, but you could say aesthetic enhancing or market enhancing drugs, because that's ultimately what they've led to. That's where the issue lies, I think. So he's not quite getting it. He's not quite on the mark in his critique here.
A lot of great lifters and a lot of YouTubers are open about talking about these things. This guy Noel made this video, which you might have seen. It kind of went viral, I think.
I'm not a natural bodybuilder, and I have a major problem with other influencers that are not as transparent about it. Not only does it create false hope through naturally unattainable results, it discourages many people from changing their lives. It also risks people's health for their financial gain. These same influencers enrich their lives by promoting and selling you their diet and training plans, making it seem naturally attainable to reach their chemically enhanced physiques when it's not.
Hell yeah, man. Yeah, I think he summarized it. That's pretty much my whole point of the video.
But here's the point, like we go back to, okay, even just using it itself is an issue. I mean, like even if we scroll back, like this guy himself, I don't know anything about him. He seems like a decent guy, but if you look at his body, you look at the image he's giving you, he's doing the same thing. He's just open about it. And it's good that he's saying, okay, yeah, there's negative side effects from this, and it's being used to profit off you, but is he not doing the same thing? I mean, look at him in the video. He's standing at this particular angle to show off his muscles in a certain way. He's got the stringer on. He's got a pump going. Look at his veins bulging there. He's got lighting. So he's still selling himself. He's still showing you the body and the image ideal that is associated with selling the products and marketing yourself. So it's the same problem. That's what I mean when I say it's not enough just to say, okay, we need transparency, because this guy's being transparent, but it's still the same thing. He's just giving you the risk analysis. But the thing is, even with the risk analysis, if people follow through to be like this guy, they're still falling down the same hole. And the next level of this is, guess what? This guy has the genetics to look good and to be able to sell it. Most people don't. So that's where we have problems with just beyond the transparency aspect of it, right? The usage itself. So that's where I think Felix here is missing the mark.
But actually, I think what bothers me the most is that the people that really, really should be honest, because the thing is, there's always going to be Instagram scumbags. The whole concept behind selling them ideas to improve their bodies and, I don't know, in any way, it's existed forever, it feels like. But you have companies like Disney and Marvel producing these superheroes, expanding their muscles to fit the part in a very short amount of time. And I think to start off, Chris Hemsworth is a great example. He's an absolute beefcake. Can you even be mad at him for using steroids? Like, people want to see him big. You see all the comments on this Instagram post and like, I can't wait to fucking see how big your muscles are on Thor. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Like, can you really blame him? Actor?
Yeah, I would say, like, yeah, you can blame them. They are part of the issue here. Again, this is Felix being a little bit too soft. And where does the idea, where does the notion that people want to see bigger muscles come from? Like, where does that come from? Well, at the end of the day, I don't think the average person has this idea in their mind of, I need to see Chris Hemsworth as this massive dude. I don't think people have this need for it that's manufactured for them. It goes back to that whole marketing point. They're being sold something, and then they're being told to want more of it, and they're buying into the whole industry because that's where the market is, that's where the money is. So you take that market, you take that money, you take those images off the screen away from them. They're not something people are just gonna be sitting there demanding in this free market sense. Oh, give us more muscle. That's not the case, and it's an issue with the nature of that industry itself.
Actors and entertainers put their health aside for the sake of entertainment. We want it, they provide it. You know, can you really be mad about it? But what I don't like about Chris, especially, is that he's selling this app where here it looks natural, by the way. That's perfectly attainable. train, eat, and live better with Chris Hemsworth's team. Like, what? I gotta pay monthly to get his workout routine? Like, get out of here.
Yeah, it's a pretty garbage deal right there. But it goes back to, yeah, like the whole image is just there to sell you things. That's the
Am I missing something here? Like, how many teenage Marvel fans do you think are buying this just hoping to look like Chris? Like, they're clearly selling the idea. Like, to play devil's advocate, I'm sure, you know, there are some good workout in there. I haven't tried this app. I'm not going to. But the whole selling point is, you know, they want to look like Chris. And I can even see myself as a teenager. If I was young selling this, I would totally buy into that. And it's just lame, dude.
And the issue with those kinds of programs, too, is that they're giving you something that they definitely didn't use to get where they were. Obviously, you need the drugs, but you need the time and the team to get there too, and you need a next level of intensity in most cases. And those programs wouldn't sell if they were giving you this like the sort of 24-hour-a-day lifestyle routine required to maintain that size. Like they're selling you some basic stuff in most cases. I mean, I haven't checked it out for myself, but that's probably going to be what it looks like.
Like, we know the reason why you put that physique to the next level. And it's not just putting the work, putting the hours, okay? Here's him posting on his Instagram about his trainer. No, what is this? His stuntman. Bro, come on, get out of here. Everyone is just making fun of them as well in the comments. Like, it's so obviously steroid use. I'm just wondering if they will also provide the specific drug dosages and intervals needed for Hemsworth to look like this. It's fine to live, but let's stop acting like the Marvel heroes aren't juiced to the gills. Thank you. Our second Marvel boy is Kumail, who had a huge transformation. He did this transformation in a year, according to the news articles. What the fuck? Like, even on steroids, that's impressive as hell. Because and anyone transforming in a year, that's a dead giveaway, okay? Like, building muscle takes time. It's a slow process. And can I at least understand, you know, you get the role for this superhero thing. They have to fit the part. They need to gain muscle in a really short amount of time. How do you do that? Well, there's one secret sauce, and it's getting steroids to build muscle. I don't know why he looks goofier in the movie. I don't know how that's even possible. Now, after the movie, it looks like he kept it going. Dude, look.
Yeah, so, I mean, this guy, let me scroll back here. I mean, that kind of transformation that this guy has going on. He's giving, obviously this is, again, another false idea, false image of what's attainable. And if we talk about just the transparency thing, okay, now you're giving someone this image of what kind of muscle progression they should see. And someone who is training for whatever reason, part of their motivation is going to be the kind of progress that they get. And when they don't see results anywhere near this, that's going to be very demoralizing. And I'm not a big fan of just lifting or just training so that you look good, but that's a big driver in early motivation, is the kinds of development that you get to see. And when you see yourself carving out a new image, there's a lot of value in that in terms of changing your lifestyle, especially when you have so many people that are sedentary. But then when they get this type of imagery and they're nowhere near what they see, and they have no background in understanding the role that these drugs play in the accelerated development, well, then they end up with this sort of they end up demoralized. And I can imagine a lot of people in making big lifestyle changes, you know, turning around their sedentary behavior, see something like this and just get deflated and then they're taken out. So that's one of the biggest issues with this kind of stuff. Like, you see some just absolute dork make this turnaround. You think you can be like that guy. Maybe you're a dork, and you pull this around, and you don't see you getting what he is. Yeah, it's not a good image to put out. Like, it's actually pernicious, right? And this guy himself is part of the problem.
Or this superhero thing, they have to fit the part. They need to gain muscle in a really short amount of time. How do you do that? Well, there's one secret sauce, and it's getting steroids to build muscle. I don't know why he looks goofier in the movie. I don't know how that's even possible. Now, after the movie, it looks like he kept it going. Dude, look at this. Look at this. Dude, get the hell out of here. Shut up, like, stop it. I feel like people also, again, defend this and be like, well, you know, he's got the best trainers in the industry, and he's got probably the best nutrition as well. That's how he's able to pull that off. Yes, but he's also got the guy feeding him the, you know, the steroids that hit him just right. But let's just talk about these two, okay? I think he got so ripped that even people that know about steroid usage will be like, well, if I had to use steroids to look like this, what's the fucking point? Well, then you're working out for the wrong reason, and that's ridiculous. But anyway, the truth is steroids work incredibly well. Yes, you still have to put in the work, you have to put in the hour, you need to know what to eat. These are essential to growing muscle. But if this guy was natural, and this is what he was able to accomplish in a year, if he then put on steroids on top of it, he wouldn't be able to move. Steroids is so effective that data shows that you grow more muscle, and I didn't even know this, you can grow more muscle by not working out on steroids than someone working out regularly. And
I mean, there's some nuance there. That's not exact, like, it is true. Like, they're effective, but there are people that are using performance-enhancing drugs that look like garbage, and they do train. You can, like, the reality is you can have genetics that can set you back, and this is part of the problem with putting your body image and your aesthetics as your goal of training, because you might might not have it, and if those drugs don't get you there, which they don't always get you there, that's reality. They're not a guarantee. Then now what do you have? You have nothing. So you gotta, the whole aspect of the image side of this, pure aesthetics, is rooted in the issue as well. Because again, drug use isn't going to solve your problem of aesthetics necessarily, and you do need to put in work for something more. Otherwise, you might be just a genetic loser, unfortunately. So these are all things that come into play. It's not just guaranteed that you'll be jacked because you use some PED.
If you ever want to feel discouraged about working out, hey, keep that one in mind. And I don't want to go into, you know, is it good, is it bad? My whole point about this video is the lack of transparency, and I really do have an issue with it. But I do think it's worth mentioning that the side effects of steroid usage is real, okay? It's not good for you. I don't care what anyone says. And what's the point anyway? I love this tweet summarizing it. Motherfucker doing steroids, not even for a sport, just to be a swole-ass waiter. So even though actors like Kumail isn't necessarily selling any products like Chris Hemsworth is, I
mean, he's still selling a movie, and he's still selling this image of a hero, and really lame heroes, that is. And then to go back to, like, yeah, you're not even using performance-enhancing drugs for performance. Like, you're just doing it. I mean, swole-ass waiter, you could, yeah, that'd be one thing. But it ultimately circles back to, okay, you're using it to sell something. That's what all this comes back down to. You're either selling an actual product, you're using your body image to sell more fitness products. It's just like almost like a zero-sum game where you get someone on board, and then they realize that if they want to make use of that, they might have to sell something themselves. That's not always the case, but like there's an aspect of that. And then there's also the aspect of people getting jacked just for the sake of being jacked and nothing more, and they don't go to perform anything. And then what did you do all that for? And it becomes sort of like, how can you frame this as something that you can use for status to back you up, right? People oftentimes use muscle mass as a form of status, and in reality, like, it's only status now insofar as it is like, okay, the average person doesn't really do anything, so yeah, you're one step ahead because you put in the work. But in actuality, there's no value behind that unless you have some performance that you're backing up with those drugs, and even that, there's problems with that. So you know, he talks about, okay, there's these health issues, and then there's obviously social issues as well behind all of that. And honestly, I don't think there's some positive out of it. Like, I don't think we have a net positive. It's just not great. So
he is still selling this idea, and as part of Hollywood, the way it works, if you're promoting something, you have to do all this media for it. What he did as part of his promotion is he went to Men's Health, and they did a video showing what's in his gym and his fridge. He talks about drinking beet juice. Guys, you just have to drink beet juice. Are you eating enough protein? That's just what you like. who are we kidding here? It feels so stupid. It's like they're trying to come up with every reason they can find to hide the fact that they're on steroids. Like, they even go through some sort of electroshock thing. Like, hide the fact that they're on steroids. Like, they even go through some sort of electro...
All of that. So, like, the beet juice thing, that's a classic example of... I mean, it's not just hiding... It's not just there to hide the steroid use, the drug use. It's there to potentially sell beet juice. Because people make tons of money selling supplements, and they say like oh, you know, you're just not getting that pump because you don't have the right beet juice, or you don't have, you know, whatever other supplement they can mix. You see this all the time on Twitter, especially someone with this long thread on supplements, and here's all the little things that, you know, add to my pump and whatever. And part of that, yeah, it might be hiding the fact that you're on some sort of drug, but then it's also just there to see what you can sell. Because if they can get you to put all this effort and money into all these little side products, there's a lot of money to be made in that. When in reality, you don't need most of that. You don't need any of it. And then you look at something goofy like this. Like, I've worked with these machines plenty before. The idea that this is something, you know, that machine is used to push inflammation out, especially like it's mostly used on rehab. Generally speaking, it's a rehab machine. You put it on the damaged area to help push inflammation out and to get blood flow in the area. This is absolutely not necessary for any sort of strength training or lifting whatsoever. This is just building a spectacle of this particular guy and his training plan. Right, the more little gadgets they can put in the mix, the more authentic it seems. So yeah, it's goofy as hell.
Shock thing? Like, is this a joke? This feels like a comedy sketch. No, I'm not sorry. I electrocute my biceps. Bro, just own up to it, pussy. Mark Wahlberg? You want to look like Mark Wahlberg? The man's 50, dude. All you have to do is wake up at 4 a.m. That's the secret. Like, I'm not trying to downplay people's hard work. Like, all of these actors would be way more ripped than I am, even without steroids. I just don't like this facade.
Yeah, Felix, like, give yourself more credit, Felix. These guys probably wouldn't be more jacked than any other average person without their drugs. And that's simply because their entire lifestyle is dedicated to creating images for the screen. And so, yeah, they're there because they're paid to be there. And they look like that because they're paid to be like that. And they have people making sure they'll be like that. It's not out of their own like discipline and will that they're getting to that point. They're getting there because that's what they have to do. That's what they get paid to do. They show up for that. If anyone else had that lifestyle, that entire team and a studio dedicated to making sure that you look like you did, anyone could look like that. Okay, barring like genetic limitations. But yeah, the idea that these people, even without all that, they would look so much better. No, I guarantee you half these people would just be fat slobs that look terrible because these are the kind of people that need incentives to get there, and most people do need incentives. So yeah, like I said, give yourself more credit, Felix. These people aren't that special.
I just have to drink like these eggs and I have to work out really hard and like, shut the fuck up. I remember when Robert Pattinson was announced that he was going to be Batman, he made some interview saying that he didn't want to work out to become Batman. Even I had the reaction of like, that's ridiculous. Bro, you're going to be a superhero. You have to work out. Pussy. Come on, Robert. Soy boy. Beta. Now that I understand how the industry works and what the expectations are when you accept these roles, maybe I'm putting words in Robert's mouth. I don't know. If I do, I'm sorry. But the way I understand this now is you obviously can't mention anything about steroids because then all these companies are gonna start calling you and kick you out of their, I don't know. You're not gonna get another acting job. Let's just put it that way. So now when he says, I think if you're working out all the time, you're part of the problem. The way I interpret him saying, I don't want to work out for Batman is, I don't want to do steroids and I don't like the message that sends to people. That's how I read into it.
You know, I think that's a pretty good reading. That's, I don't know, call it insightful, but there's a good chance that is the case. These actors obviously can't talk about their any drug use because that would stain the image. I mean, it's funny the way the whole thing works, where the entire industry requires this usage, and this is the same for pro sports. Like, all of these pro athletes require this usage, but they can't be transparent about it because they feel that would sully the entire image. They still feel there's some sort of a a moral hang-up around this usage. So it's all behind the scenes. It's all covered up. And then you see, potentially, like again, might be Robert Pattinson is just kind of a lazy loser, but who knows? It could be that now he has to say stupid stuff along the lines of, I don't want to work out. What he really means is I don't want to do drugs and wreck myself for this particular role. Now, what he should do is just like nuke it and say, hey, like this is the case. That would be the best case. He's kind of a pussy when he avoids that. But regardless, that there's very much potential that is the case for this Robert Pattinson thing, and I mean it shows just how silly the whole thing is at these studios and these pro level, these international organizations in sporting that have all these hang-ups about this. And I mean there's nothing they can do to deal with drug use at all because everyone has to do it. It's like an arms race. The other countries are going to be doing their drugs for their pro athletes, and then it's the whole cycle. So it's always a facade of this is morally wrong and we're doing what we can to prevent it. When in reality, I mean, what's the point of even pretending, because everyone does it? But they have to maintain that image. I mean, because that's the kind of place, the kind of situation they put themselves in. So, yeah.
That I don't know. I could be wrong, and I guess that's the thing. Like, I don't know who's right or wrong here. Am I supposed to be mad at Chris and Kumail and all these Marvel people? I mean, yeah, after all, they are just giving people what they want, which is seeing these people.
Yeah, this goes back to no. They're not just giving people what they want. People don't want that. That was manufactured for them. So, I mean, like, yeah, it's multi-billion-dollar studios creating this image to sell for consumption. People don't want this. It's not our fault. It's not the people's fault. Okay, they just follow incentives. They just follow the images and the spectacle given to them. So I think when you're talking about these kinds of things, you need to recognize the issue for what it is, and the transparency obviously is part of it. But again, you don't solve the problem by just suddenly enlightening people to what the truth of the matter is. I think you solve the problem by saying, hey, here's what the actual problem is all these people on these drugs to manufacture an image that's completely false and doesn't actually contribute to any real value in their performance. And at most, these drugs might exist in a military setting to defend your country. Like, that would probably be the only time where you might have to do that. But outside of that, I don't think it's it's really an ethical thing overall. It's because of you're forcing people to destroy their bodies for a materialistic pursuit. That's what that comes down to. And that's not an entire analysis. Like, there's obviously situations where you have to put your body on the line for something greater, and there's something you could say spiritual about using yourself, using your physical body for something greater. But in terms of putting your physical body on the line for pure profit, which is what majority of this all comes down to, even professional sports, that's what that comes down to. There is something morally wrong about that, I would say. So when someone like Felix is addressing these issues, we have to look deeper, and you can't be lukewarm about it. I think you have to take the harsher criticism.
Actors transform in cinema. Are we at fault for having these expectations and lashing them out to other people? I don't know what the right answers is. I think it's great that influencers and lifters and anyone being transparent about their usage is great. It takes balls, and a lot of people just will respect you more for it. But people aren't going to be transparent because there are this pressure from companies to keep quiet and make us money, you know? And that's why I think it's important to talk about these things, educate people maybe who aren't even part of these communities, but you still engage with it by just looking at it. It affects your subconsciousness and how you perceive yourself, and you compare yourself, whether you like it or not, to these people. Getting fit.
Yeah, so that's pretty solid. Final from him. Again, he's lukewarm. He's too soft, but he's right in that these images that they present you are pervading your subconscious. It is underlying everything you do, and it is giving you false images at the end of the day. And I think, again, the harsher criticism is we don't really want these false images negatively impacting people. And I don't really see much inspiration coming from these images either, and the kinds of inspiration that you would want. There's nothing very heroic. I would say we want more heroic imagery out there, and I don't see anything heroic in these Marvel heroes. I don't see anything heroic in bodybuilders. So what's the point of any of that? Yeah, it's just a negative. It's just negatively impacting people's subconscious at the end of the day, giving you a distorted view of how the body operates and what kind of performance ideals we should strive to. So, yeah, I think Felix had a pretty decent video here. He's too soft, but you know what? Can't expect perfection on everything. So that's all I got today. See ya.